we're back. It's the Football 360 show, fastest hour football talk on the planet. I am JP Rock. He is Matt Bierman. How you doing, Matt?
Doing great.
Cold weather outside. Appreciate everybody. Sorry about not being here last week.
You were a little under the weather.
Flu A. That was a lot of under the weather. I didn't know where I was. Flu A got a hold of me and worked me over pretty good.
Just stay on that side of the room.
Just high. Well, it's been. I think it's been 10 days, maybe. Is it, or is my math off? Because it fried half my brain. I think it might have been 10 days. So I think I'm good. I think you're not contagious after 7. So, but you're going to find out.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that, JP.
You're going to find out. You're going to be my test subject.
Yeah,
here.
Thank you. In a confined room, sitting feet away from each other. Yeah, there we go. Here we go.
Pretty good.
All right,
there you go. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the glass with my phlegm. Joe's behind the glass.
Yeah, good thing Joe's behind the glass. I'm not safe. So, no, it's going around. We have a lot of kids that have been sick.
Oh yeah.
And some coaches have been sick. I mean, it's just one of those. It's that time of year when you get 70 degrees Monday of what last week, and then 2 days later it's freezing cold. I mean, it's just no fun.
That's crazy. And you're right. And there were even kids showing up at Elite on Sunday who didn't feel good, and it's like, stay home.
Yeah, stay home. Yeah.
You got stuff in your chest. You shouldn't train anyway.
No.
So I mean, nice effort, but stay home. Yeah, schools are having problems with it. A lot of stuff going on. Of course, Super Bowl football's officially over, I guess, now that the Super Bowl's happened. Not much of a Super Bowl game. Did you have a dog in the fight?
I did not.
No.
I just wanted to see a good game, and we did not see a good game.
Right.
Yeah.
Didn't get that.
Well, we saw one team execute, right? And then I think it was fun to see that. I mean, the level of execution that the Eagles were able to display was awesome. But
absolutely.
Over the top as far as, just not characteristic of the Chiefs. But I had been telling people, I was like, look, they play that many close games throughout the year. It's bound to happen. Like, I mean, the rubber band's going to snap back, and they're going to get caught by reality at some point.
There is that. And the Eagles were super hyped. I mean, they're a really good team. Yeah. And I remember talking to people during the playoffs, and, people like, everybody always asks, who you got? Who you got this week? Eagles. I mean, they just looked like the strongest team across the board, had everything going, You got the star running back. I mean, how about Hurt?
Yeah.
He won a championship with Alabama. Like I said, my brain's fried. So if I
remember, he got benched.
Right.
Then he came in and did all right, and then got benched the following year.
Yep.
Leaves, goes to Oklahoma. Ends up doing great there, and then goes to the NFL. But he's just a winner. He's a winner. He's one of those guys, just a really solid person, just grounded, just got a good demeanor. And I think, when he left Alabama, I'm pretty sure he was between him and Saban, it was not very nasty. I think it was amicable. Very amicable. I think it was. So, he's in a better spot now, right? I mean, he took through that adversity and got a really good end of the stick, right? He's now the starting quarterback of a Super Bowl champion team. So.
And you look for that in a quarterback, right?
Oh, yeah.
You look for that. I mean, some just like local guys who, that reminds me of is Carson Boyd. Mm-hmm. He's that guy, just a winner.
He's a winner.
The it factor. Young guy coming up, Jonathan Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, just a winner. I was talking to somebody about him, and won a 8th grade Super Bowl. Sophomore year of high school, won a state championship.
Yeah.
I mean, what's next? And really what's next is, the Luther North situation is just, a shame.
Yeah.
It's really sad. A shame. Kyle Wagner.
They need to get someone hired.
And nobody knows anything was going on. I mean, you hear there's the interview process. I really haven't heard too much, but they're losing players. Some players have already transferred out to East St. Louis. Who knows who else is going to transfer out. Speaking of which, my number one player in state of Missouri for 2027, Chance McPike, moved to Paducah, Kentucky. Mom got a job down there, so the family moved, and he's moving down there, going to play.
What about high school?
Tillman, Paducah Tillman, which is a pretty, it's a pretty has a pretty storied past. Produced some decent players, and won some stuff like that. Gotta say, really though, I'm really disappointed in people, and I want to tell people right now, if you're gonna go ahead and attack a kid, right, from one of my posts, unfollow me, and block me, especially if you're a grown man.
Yeah,
don't do that crap. I mean, that's ridiculous. Get yourself some kind of a girlfriend, something, man. Because that's just
like
hideous.
What's the concern with the family moving? Like, what people are supposed to just stay locked in the situation they're in, and they can't go get a new job somewhere. Like people move all the time.
Exactly. And you're a 15, 16-year-old kid, 17-year-old, whatever. Family's got to move. Family's got to make decisions about their life. Why do you want to attack some kid? So that's ridiculous. But good luck to Chance. Super talented guy. Really huge pickup for Paducah. And it's not like he's going to one of the top Louisville schools, one of the powerhouses, nothing like that.
Let's go to Paducah, Kentucky.
You've been.
There's a lot of places you could move, and Paducah is probably not on the top of my list.
No, that's not necessarily pipeline, So, but it's.
Think he was recruited there? Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Somebody's going to show somebody something.
Speaking of transfers and all that stuff, and we've talked about this, and I was doing some stuff this morning and listening to a guy talk about like some of the lawsuits that have been going on at the NCAA level with the whole gist of the Pavia lawsuit against the NCAA, which then makes the JUCO irrelevant, right?
Right.
There's now a new lawsuit that is a D2 Division II NCAA player who's a starter. He was an All-American, I think, Grand Valley State. Then he started the last year or two at Wisconsin, and he's now suing and saying, "Hey, look, I didn't have the same NIL opportunity at that level," and so people are going to be like, "Oh, that really sucks," because just when's it going to stop? But I think what we're seeing is the pendulum has swung so far back, and the NCAA and a lot of their predatory activities over the years, which were done under the guise of protecting student athletes. They're now protecting their budgets, and their bottom line is what they're trying to do. But so then you shift that, and I've talked about this on the show before, but when do you think it hits the state level? Because high school kids, last I checked, there was not a line of demarcation that said, "Oh, only college kids can have name, image, and likeness." No, it's there's a thing under the law called equal protection, right? So it's not just one group of people. They didn't put statutory limits on it. So, like a young actor can make money, right? So, so you start to see like a Misha or in Illinois, like their state governing body for athletics and activities.
Right.
When is the first lawsuit going to be filed against someone that gets blocked from going and transferring? And people are going to think it sounds crazy, but if you think of it in terms of, hey, you have a kid who's a freshman, say he gets banned for a year from playing high school football because his family moved or something happened in a school and he needed to leave, whatever it might be.
Family can't afford tuition,
whatever it is. Okay. So you have that scenario and they say, "Oh, you have to sit out a year. You can only play JV football or JV basketball, whatever it is." There is an argument to be made that they are interfering with that person's right to make a living. And you're going to go, "Well, they're kids." It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, there are kids making money. So if one gets to do it, they all get to do it. So it's an opportunity thing. So I'm going to be really interested to see, especially with the changes going on at the national level with the Department of Education and money's coming back differently to the states. I mean, school choice is probably one of those things that's a real hot button topic. But, in Florida, they do it by county, right? So you can move within the county. So like as the state starts to dole the money out differently than, say, coming from the federal government, you'd be interested to see what changes that enacts at locally here in Missouri and Illinois and all the surrounding states that people listen to us in. But I would say, I think we're going to see before long somebody sue one of the state governing bodies for athletics and activities because there is a legitimate beef that, hey, these rules are arbitrary, right? Because and here's where it gets really murky. There is, you and I know, sometimes It's very arbitrary. Oh, sometimes this person's eligible at this school, sometimes they're not at this school.
Yep.
Right? It's never been clean.
Nope.
It hasn't. And so, I mean, I have a lot of people that work at Misha I know, and good people, but they're not all directly involved in that process, right? And a lot of the schools, the member schools, they're great people, but that process needs to be cleaned up. And it's really unfair, because at the end of the day, if it hurts a student athlete, hey, look, if someone's tampering and recruiting kids over, that's between them and whatever. But I'm talking about legitimate situations where people have to make a family decision where their kids in a bad environment. There's some issues going off the field that maybe people in the public don't need to know about.
Well, or like even like you said, the ability to make money, because since we are talking about money for college, right? Getting paid to play college football. I mean, how are you going to stand in the way and affect somebody making money down the road, future earnings, by not allowing them to go to the best school possible to showcase their ability to make money? You know what I'm saying?
So take for instance,
it could get to that level.
You have someone and you have someone that's, let's just say, a freshman, right? A high flyer. It's got our sophomore, whatever. It's got early offers. That kid typically is going to project and start to get more offers, which then leads to more money, which leads to more opportunities, right? And all those things kind of go in line with each other. And we're not talking, a lot of times we're talking about salaries that are as big as most of it's bigger than the median salary for anybody living in any municipality in St. Louis.
Right.
Okay.
So it's not
we're not talking about
being
a $10,000 stipend, right? We're talking about, what, if you're making a couple $100,000, you're the top 5% of earners in the United States, or whatever the numbers are. These guys are, $240,000 to $600,000 to $1 million. So you can sit and say all day long, well, that's not right, and I don't think they should be playing players, but they are, and the courts have now said that they need to, and so it's not going to go backwards.
It's going to trickle down.
It's going to so. I just think that conversation is interesting. I think we're going to see it before long, and I think that while a lot of those rules are probably well intentioned, there's a lot of subjectivity. There's a lot of pettiness that goes into it. There's a lot of things that are really, really unfortunate. And yes, again, I'm the first one to say, hey, if someone's tampering and screwing around with trying to get kids and making false promises, all that, no. Right. But if a family makes a legitimate decision that that's best for their child, and they need to change schools, why does the school or the state say, oh, you can't, you can play JV, but you can't play varsity?
Right.
But they don't do that when someone's in the band. They don't do it when someone's on debate club.
Right.
They don't do anything, for show choir or drama club. Like come on, like those are activities that they govern.
Right.
But why are there different rules for those people? They're the same class. They're the same group of people. They're kids.
Right. As long as it's legitimate. And one way, if you're worried about the private schools, just sucking up all the talent, because everybody's going to want to transfer. If you just have the Wild West and you can transfer at will, the answer to that is private public championships.
Correct.
And guess what?
They do it in other states.
Yep. And that's going to take a lot of the juice out of it. Right. I mean, okay, well, you want to, everybody's that way. Everybody's equal. No matter who you're recruiting to your school, because you got guys going to certain schools, pipeline schools already, and man, they're stockpiled. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, and so what's interesting is I look at it as someone on like what I do for a living, right? So coaching, training. For the schools and the coaches, the high school coaches, like the end all be all is a state championship, district championship, all that. Yep. To me, that's just like, it's great. It's window dressing. It really means, because I look at it from the individual athlete's perspective, and I want any team I'm associated with to do great. But at the end of the day, they don't recruit teams. They recruit individuals. Yep. Okay. They, when I deal at the granular level and you deal with the granular level of kids, right? Yeah, we can have fun and talk about which teams are great and all that, and cheer those guys on and really applaud guys that are doing it the right way and building their program and all those awesome things that football provides, right? There is so much great that football provides from a team aspect all of that, right? Just the selflessness that needs to take place.
Yep. character building.
But when you pull, but you can do that on a crappy team too.
That's true.
Right?
Yes.
So when all the focus is on winning, a lot of bad things get done. And a lot of kids get lost in the fray.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get lied to. Right. And so I've always taken the approach of like, that's great. Like, yeah, that'd be awesome to win a state title, but it would also be better to get my kids' education paid for.
Correct.
Right.
Yep. And do what's best for you. And that's where really the whole transfer thing just comes down to me. It's what's best for you and your family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like you said, if people are making promises and you're gonna win, I mean, you should never go to a school, right, if you're gonna transfer because you're gonna win a state championship. Because in the grand scheme of things, that's you need to go what's best for you as a person, a player, and a student.
Yeah, or, get on the field and where you fit and all that stuff and all that.
So here's the question, because you were talking about it's going to trickle down to stopping people. So if you're on a team, right, that doesn't showcase your ability, right, you're a receiver and you're stuck in a high school team where, you know, it's a run heavy. Should you be able to transfer because that's what's best for your? I mean, I see that coming down the pipe,
right?
Because you're going to stop me from making money by not allowing me to go someplace where I can.
So I see all these things online where these guys are, you know, a lot of old school coaches are very, very like, I mean, this is a hot topic in all the coaching circles, right? About guys leaving. And I actually just saw a guy post something the other day about it. And he was like, look, I think the best take for it is that you can kind of go wherever you want. I could care less. He was like a 5-time state title coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe, I don't even know where, at Florida or something.
Yeah.
And he was like, look, if you build a great program and it attracts kids that want to be a part of that program, they're going to stay. Right. They're not going to just go. Right. And then, you know, the counter argument is, well, the guy was like, well, you know, they get people in their ear and street agents in their ear telling them they need to go this and there. But that happens in a lot of things in life. People, newsflash, human beings are known to make bad decisions. All of us included have made bad decisions in our life, right?
Absolutely.
And so you do have to be careful who you surround yourself with. But just because they're associated with the high school doesn't mean they're going to have your best interest. Just because they're a coach or a trainer doesn't mean they have your best interest in mind. Just because it's an uncle or aunt or cousin or whoever,
right,
that they may not know their butt from a hole in the ground. Yep. They may not. And so you have to, you know, trust your instincts in some regards, right? Because you know where you're supposed to be. And I know it's tough with the rules that are in place of like, hey, you live in this district, you go to that school, or you have to pay to go to a private school. You know, there's a lot of kids that probably could have been better and served better had they had a little bit of freedom to do and move as they should have been able to. And I think anybody that makes the argument that well, you live in that district, you have to go there.
Yeah.
To me, I understand the rules of it, the legalities, all that. But when you look at it from, you know, let's just peel the onion back and say it's a kid that has special needs.
All right.
Right. Well, they're afforded the opportunity to go that way. Yeah, but they don't play sports. Yeah, but we also do what's best for them because they have a special something that needs to be taken care of, whether it's a hearing impairment, learning disability, whatever it might be. To equate that and say, well, it's athletics. Well, no, but every one of us has been given different gifts.
Mm-hmm.
Just as, wouldn't it be great if a kid that was a really good singer got to go to a school that had a choir program?
Yeah.
And if this school that they're in doesn't have it, how are they gonna cultivate that?
Correct.
So I think, you know, there's a lot of things that you and I aren't going to solve, but it's the football side of things and the basketball side of things, this gets so much visibility.
Right.
But are we doing what's best? I know there's a lot of coaches that are going to get angry and they hear that, well, yeah, you should just follow and just do this and that. But they're the first. There's a lot of guys that are the first to block someone when they move, and they're the willing recipient when someone comes in their way.
Correct.
And I don't like that.
No. And that's, I mean, you know, and it's really kind of, I mean, it is the off season. We're talking too much off the field stuff, but I mean, it's relevant and it's just a fact of what's going on. And, you know, not to get too far into it, but you were talking about the politics and stuff, Department of Education, you know, there's talk of school choice. I mean, where does that come into the process? What if it's like school choice? You know, everybody gets to pick where they want to go to school. I mean, what are they going to do then? Everybody else can pick their school except if you're an athlete. except if you're a football player.
No, I think the rules would trump their decision process.
Right. So I mean, it's a lot of interesting stuff. We talked about it last year about college football becoming pro football, and that happened. So we're just trying to enlighten people as to what's going on. And when you came in, you were telling me about some other kid who's transferred, who's ruled ineligible.
Yeah.
And that's a shame because it's another high level kid, and I mean, back to Chance Pike. I don't, his mom had an opportunity to go for a job. Family had an opportunity for a job. Went. That's that, I mean, but really, they took away a lot of stuff, and thankfully it didn't affect his recruitment.
Do you think that probably had maybe they were like, hey, we're out of here. You know what I mean? Like
too much negativity, looking for a fresh start. Right. Nobody can be mad. I mean, he's in another state now. What's your problem? You want to be petty about somebody going to another state for their family.
Yeah. But back to what you're talking about, like the different things going on in high school sports. Let's say we do get to that school choice component, right?
Mm-hmm.
That will change the complexion of a lot of things because, winning isn't everything, like we were just talking about.
Right.
But when you have, let's just call it the way it is, sports in college and in high school play a major role of the culture and who wants to go to that school. I mean, Mizzou wins, their enrollment goes up.
Yep.
Alabama wins, their enrollment's through the roof, right? Then you boil it down to like that NAIA D3 level. And, the dirty little secret is that's how they fund their colleges is with athletes.
Yes.
Like if you were to look and see, like I just had a guy tell me the other day, his son's in a D3. Okay. How many quarterbacks do you think they have on their roster? Just take a wild guess. The average of most schools is 4 or 5.
I was going to say 5.
18.
Wow.
How many running backs? 22.
Wow.
Okay.
Right.
So what does that tell you? That tells me that these guys are basically preying on kids that want to play and continue their education and play sports.
Yep.
They want to get their federal dollars for off their grants or anything that they get, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to help pay for their come to school. It's going to fund the school.
Right.
That's not right.
No.
Like it is not right. That's false advertisement. Like, come on, man. Like, but I've seen it happen for years. I mean, it's a lot of those D3 schools. They're not giving scholarships, but they're giving them packages to be there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
that's outrageous.
18 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, you really are trying to live the dream of something. You're going to be the 18th quarterback.
Oh my gosh! And then
on a team,
but you look at like a school like an NAIA school in our region, like most of those colleges exist because of sports.
Mm-hmm.
Like 85% of our students are student athletes.
Yeah.
Right. Why? Because they want the opportunity to continue to play their game.
Yep.
But there's those teams are going to be, that's going to happen kind of similar in high school where the coaches now matter as to how to attract people. If you have a winning program, that will become a benefit if in any of those states where you have school choice. I'd say it's probably already played out, but who knows what's going to happen with all that. But to your point, that's a great question. Like if it does go to school choice, do the old rules still
how are you going to do
exist?
That? Yeah.
They probably, there's no way they can. I can't imagine.
No, there's not. And it's really gonna be interesting to see what plays out. Because I know there's a lot of kids transferring now. There's a lot of coaching changes as well. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of schools that still, I'm surprised, don't have their coach set. By the way, congratulations to Fred Bouchard, who leaving MICDS. We knew about it over the weekend, and I'm assuming that Matt Irvin's been announced as the new head coach.
If not already.
If not, Matt Irvin's
that's what it sounds like, yeah.
Well, yeah.
He's got the history there.
We know, right.
He's got a history there. He's won a state title. I mean, it would be, that's a no-brainer.
That's great. And the whole thing, just the way that was done was just perfect, and kudos to Coach Bouchard for helping them, have that all lined up.
Yeah. You always, I kind of in the back of my mind figured like, he was in Chicago. He moved back to St. Louis here, and then he's going to get back home closer to his family. Which
Coach Bouchard,
yeah. Kind of just watched the pattern.
Yeah, Spring Hill. It's a nice little 7,000 people community. Just a few minutes out of Olathe, South Olathe, Kansas. Nice little football tradition there. He coached at Harrisonville, coached at Staley. Both of those are right in that whole area, and he's got son and grandkids now, who he'll have a chance to watch grow up and possibly play football. So great for him and great for MICDS. I mean, talk about just a smooth transition, probably the smoothest transition that I can think of recently in a coaching change.
A little faster than the Luther North situation.
Just a little bit, just a little bit faster, a little bit different. And they're gonna throw the ball with Matt Irvin's background. So there's gonna be a little bit of a change in the offensive philosophy there, because I know Fred likes to run the ball. Good.
It'll be
good people all around.
It'll be interesting to see, because they've had that tradition. He was part of that tradition, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they were winning, and they've been winning. But yeah, just kind of a full circle moment for him too, right?
Yeah,
like should be fun. Should be fun to watch.
Isn't it interesting? I believe he was a principal at Webster Groves, right?
Like and then coaching at WashU.
Coaching at WashU. So I mean, just wanting to get back into it. Well, and what's really nice is I talked about Luther North and great coaching staff Kyle Wagner had put together there at Luther North, and they're just going different places, or just don't know what they're doing. Whereas the MICDS staff is, for the most part, some of the top guys are staying put already.
Yeah, it's a great place to be. I would imagine they're going to want to stay.
It is. At Elite, you have a camera set up to where they're asking people who has the best stadium, like that. And so, they were asking me, and I'm like, I'm not going on camera and saying that because I don't want to hurt nobody. I don't hurt nobody. But MICDS, I mean, if you've been there, it's a pretty
nice setup.
It's a nice little setup. It's a nice little. It's almost like a college.
It is interesting. Like, the tough thing is like we say who's got nice stadiums here. Let's be realistic. Like if our nice stadiums in other states are.
Oh my gosh!
Are considered
right, because my first
pedestrian.
My first BJ Wilson asked me. He's like, I'm like, look, around here, they're pretty much all the same.
Yeah, slim pickings. I mean, I like East St. Louis has got a nice setup.
East St. Louis got a nice setup. Yep.
Edwardsville, I like theirs.
I like them as well. I like John Burroughs. That's a nice.
John Burroughs is a nice setup. I think Lindbergh's got a solid deal, only football only, which I think is pretty cool.
Yep,
Lindbergh's obviously MICDS.
Right.
Yeah, then you get there, it starts getting pretty. SLU's kind of a neat setup. The CBC, because they're both on the highway.
Me and BJ were having that conversation. I'm like, except for the stands are like from 1900. Upgrade that, and you do have some of the field and the surrounding area.
Pretty cool,
very, very cool. Because being down there on the field and the game's going on your right, you got the highway happening, and you got the
center,
right
park
there, and perfect sunset. That's cool. Francis Howell is really cool if you ever been there when the sun's setting.
Yeah.
And that's
and the atmosphere because of the kids and the fans.
Exactly. And so but that's interesting. So he's doing that. Some other Ladue solved their head coaching problem. Again, getting somebody familiar with the program.
Yeah, Coach Hamilton, who's in the building.
Exactly. Exactly. Which is what I would have thought. I really would have thought that would have happened with Luther North. It's like, but there's some other stuff apparently going on there that they're just, waiting or whatever. I'm not really sure what's going on.
Yeah, I know. Priory's still looking to hire.
Who was that? Priory or was it Principia? Somebody got
Principia is hiring. I think it sounds like.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see. There's a lot of openings, right?
There's a lot of openings around the state still that.
But I don't know that we have a glut of coaches too. So like if you're looking for someone who's got the head coaching experience, it's hard to find some of those guys. But then there's also good young names coming up but there's a lot of movement on the assistant level. And, and I'm getting phone calls all the time. Everybody calls poach our guys, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, but it's funny. A lot of our guys just choose just to stay and do skills training, right? Because, schedule wise and just kind of the flow of them throughout the year.
Right.
But yeah, I always love seeing our guys go coach, especially when they make it into the NFL and make it into college and all that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I can't say too much, but a former guy we trained and then did a little coaching with us at one point is get a top of the list for some GM jobs in the NFL.
Nice.
Young guy.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Do I know him?
Yeah, you'd know. You'd know. So
I must start throwing names out there. You tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's pretty cool, and like the whole backstory of how he even got into the NFL. We actually kind of have a little part in that, and because he met someone with the Rams, and we were pretty instrumental in that guy's kid ending up at that school where that guy was an assistant coach, and then they met.
Okay, yeah.
So because he was up between two, because he had moved here, and he needed to find a school for his son.
Yep.
And I kind of gave him the lay of the land. I said, "Well, you don't want to go there because he was a quarterback. Don't want to go there. Go there." And he did. And then they met through that process, and now that guy works for him. And
that's really cool.
Yeah, really cool.
That is really cool. There was a Rams guy at Elite over the weekend that has a young son.
Yeah.
Interesting how that happens, right?
Yeah.
Knows his football, knows his young son, going to bring him in. And
some cool scouting combine stuff, or like the All-Star games and with the combine coming up and pro days.
Yeah.
It's always fun to talk to the NFL guys and kind of see.
It really is. I'm telling you what,
they approach it so business-like, right? It's so good. And now college is going that way.
It's really strange because we talk about the Elite Combine, which is coming up. I mean, it's gonna be here in no time. March the 8th. Get the middle school one happening on Monday,
a week from yesterday.
And then March 8th, the Elite Combine coming up. And speaking of the Rams, Nathan Shieldhouse is on the Rams now. You remember when Nathan came to one of the first people. It blows my mind that these guys, it's like, here we are dealing with them when they're in high school. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, they're working for the Rams. So I get what you're talking about.
So it's funny. You and I done this so long, but one of the advantages, right, of getting older is you recognize patterns, right?
Yep.
And I always, very, when you saw Tom Brady at the end of his career and he's just dominating and he's not physically superior to anybody on the field.
Right.
I would always liken it to like, this guy's like the master. He's done this so many times. And then he's playing against guys that are only 1 to 4 years into the league, but he's been doing it now at that point, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows what he's doing, and he's at a higher level of like proficiency and understanding patterns and all that stuff. So his brain is slowed down, but they are still learning the trade, if you will.
Yeah.
Right. So in our world, like what we're doing, like we have a lot of young coaches that are, that work with us and we're around them. And that's part of the process of bringing those guys into the game, is teaching those things. But it's constant, like where, when you don't have the experience, like your gut is like, oh yeah, do this, or that guy's this, or this guy's that. And it's like, we can sit where we are and say, well, actually, no, he's that.
Yeah.
Right. And then they kind of like look at you like, what are you talking about? Like, why would you say that?
Right.
My eyes are telling me, and then, let it play out a little bit. And it's like, oh no, that guy actually is that. So, but some of that is just part of that. We've done it long enough to know what we're looking at.
Correct.
Right. Like, I know, and like Coach Pond, who's also on our staff, like, it's pretty quick. I mean, I can make a pretty good snap judgment and say, hey, this guy possesses this, and this.
Yep.
And then, what's crazy is then I can take them over to our force plates. We can jump them. And it's very rare, almost non-existent, that it won't match what you saw.
Right. Oh yeah. No, it's amazing. That's really kind of the future. And, we'll talk more about that. I had a thought, but we'll share it off there. But no, very, very, very cool. But you're absolutely right. Speaking of a guy who I'm really kind of shocked, but we know why. But I mean, Coach Pond. I mean, who's a better offensive line trainer, coach? He's
awesome.
It's always shocked me that he's like not taking a step.
I know.
You know what I mean?
He's got a good career. I think he makes good money doing what he does. And so he
doesn't need the aggravation.
Yeah, right. And he's but he's one of those guys that he would fit the mold.
Yep.
And coach and get results from his guys at that level.
Right.
We're fortunate to have him on our staff, and he's been with us for a long time. And same thing with Coach Snozik. I mean, we got guys that have been doing this like
you got a good mix. You got the guys who've been doing it for a nice long time, like Marcus and Jamie.
Matt Craffle is another guy. He's been with us on and off since 2010.
And then you got the young guys in there. And what's cool about the young guys is your young trainers that you got in there, they want it, right? They're fired up. They're on top of it. They're not just going through the motions. You see some guys and they're just kind of going through the motions, telling kids, okay, now do this. Nah, man, those guys are like, not only do they want it for themselves because, they want to go as far as they can with their coaching and training careers, but they want it for the kids.
Yep.
And
that's important because,
yes,
truth be told, there's a lot of people who are in the training and coaching at the high school, college level that are in it for the wrong reason. And they're in it for selfish reasons, right? Because it's going to show them. And I always look at just like how people portray themselves when they talk about the kids they trained, right? Or the kids that they coached. And if they put themselves out, well, I did this and I did that, I think you'd be pretty hard pressed to find any posts on our site where it's about like, we do this, we do that.
Right.
No, they did this.
Yes.
He did that. We're proud of him. Congratulations. Because you know what? We're self-confident. We know what we're doing. Right. We've done it so many times, and we're not playing that game. Like the number of guys who are trying to get adulation off of someone else's success. Yeah, we played the part. We played our part. We did our job. That's what we do. We're not there to, pat ourselves on the back because we got the next guy coming.
Yep.
Okay. Like we're working with, I train 7, 8, 9-year-olds, right? I also train my fair share of NFL guys, right? I think those young guys are what keep me sharp. I think it's what differentiates what we do from everybody else. And the reason being is, I'm not saying we're just screwing around running through cone drills. We're teaching them at fairly high proficiency levels at younger ages because we know what we're doing. But it's a different challenge when you teach someone that the concept is foreign to them versus getting someone at the tail end of their career and polishing them.
Or the high level guy, the elite guy. Yeah. And I got to tell you what, and it's the same thing with me, right? I mean, Jackson Cantwell saw him back when, right? He was just the kid all the way. And a lot of people are glomming onto him and where is he going to go to school and what's the updates on. I prefer finding the new talent. I prefer finding the next thing. That's what keeps me going with it is who's that next guy up and what can he do to get to that level, right? That's way more exciting than, it's great. And I'm happy and I'm excited for guys that they go on and they sign with, high level colleges and stuff. But the next guy, it's always the next guy.
So there used to be a show on HBO 24/7. It was a boxing show. And Freddie Roach was was a trainer, and it was about Manny Pacquiao. I think it was back when he was in his prime. And so the story of Manny Pacquiao coming into the gym was one day he just wandered in there, right? And he had other fighters he was training, and they ended up building the friendship and relationship and trusting each other, and he ends up becoming his lead, his trainer, his lead trainer, and then he goes out, wins numerous championships and world titles and belts and all that. And they were interviewing Freddie Roach, and I remember sitting on my couch. It was late at night watching it, and I loved that show because it would show you the inner workings of how they were training him and the methodology and just the stuff that gets me going, that interpersonal relationship with you and your athlete, right? And the conversations they're having, and then there's the stress and the not knowing of or the resiliency from coming back from a loss or whatever it might be. And Freddie Roach made a comment. He said, what keeps me going is I never know who's walking through that door next.
Yep.
Right. I might have another Manny Pacquiao walking through my door. And I've felt that way since the very beginning. I got very fortunate, back in the day when I first started, I had, access to a middle school program that I was coaching in. And I had the Gabbert boys playing in Ty when they were young.
That's a good start.
And, and then it led to a Steve Kaiser, and it led, all these different guys that were really good players. And I hit it pretty quick with those guys because it was perfect timing. But I'm always looking for that next guy, right? And then we were fortunate to have, Brett Gabbert got to start when he was in 4th grade.
There's a bunch of guys coming up.
So then, you start looking, but it's like, who's the next one? Who's the next one, right? And you take care of them and then mature them through. A kid named Brady Cook walks in 2nd grade, right?
Yeah.
I remember his dad asked me, he was playing his day numerous times over the years. How do you know this stuff works? How do you know this stuff works?
Yeah.
That's what he'd ask me. And I'd say, trust me, it works.
Right.
Right. And I think, look,
that's a great feeling.
It is because
right. I mean, and we have it with them asking us about college and recruiting. Well, I'd just be happy if one, a kid that comes to mind, and I tease him about. I'm always like, hey, tell your dad, because I remember last year Jack Brown, and he was in Italy, and his dad was like, I'd be happy if he just gets. I'm like, look, he's gonna have a bunch of
more than you can count.
Exactly, and he's like, you think so? I'm like, yeah, pretty good track record.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's fun. And speaking of the combine, like that conversation, I remember talking to you and I were talking to Mr. Wingo. Yes. And that was like the year that I think it was the year that I think that might have been a COVID year where the parents couldn't be in the room because
the kids were wearing masks.
I mean, but I remember like he walked up and it was like, Ryan ran some insane number, whatever, right? And he's like a freshman.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's gonna blow up. Like this is like you're not gonna be able to contain this.
Right.
And then he says like, you think? And it's like,
I love that.
Yeah,
really? That. You think? Right.
And then fast forward, maybe months later, it's not even, he's starting to get these offers. And he's probably like a sophomore, like, getting ready to enter sophomore year. And his dad's like, hey, he calls me, hey, you're not going to believe this. Rivals ranked him like it was a 4-star at the time, but he's the 2nd or 1st or 2nd rated receiver in his class. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, well, look at his height and look how well he runs, right? So
and by that time, he had a lot of offers.
Yeah, he started. Let's to stack offers.
The fan side's like that. That's all offer based.
Oh, that's how you get stars.
Yeah, that's how you get ranked, and
that's how it's. Because but here's the thing: you have to have those underlying scores for schools to pull the trigger.
Absolutely,
and goes back to what we were talking about on the combine. If you're going to things where it's like there's so many cash grabs, like we do. Our combine once a year. We used to do it twice a year when the Rams were here because it was like a deal that we had with the Rams. Mm-hmm. But now we do it once a year, right? And we're not trying to do 30 combines across the country. Ours is specific to our area, our region. And then we do one with the High School Coaches Association, and then we do the Lindenwood camp,
right?
Which, by the way,
KC Varsity now,
major, and KC Varsity,
right?
Major announcement.
Yeah, that's
major announcement.
Yeah, that's shocking.
So Lindenwood this year is on the June 6th and 7th, which is a Friday, Saturday.
Right. People thought it was the 31st.
Well, it was going to be.
Right.
So a little NCAAs are not our friends sometimes. Right. So essentially what it is it's how the dates fall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so because that last day of the month is that Saturday.
Yep.
The new week starts, I guess, that June 1st, if you will. So there's like a rule deal. So this is what's going to happen to the college kids this summer. I was talking to someone at Mizzou about this yesterday. 3 weeks of summer camp this year for colleges. That's all they get.
Wow.
Used to be 4.
Yeah.
It's how the calendar. So like when those dates in the end of May fall and they touch up against June.
Yeah.
You can go back to that full calendar week if it's during that week.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we were able to do the Friday, Saturday, if it's, May, June.
Right.
But that it switched this
Saturday,
year.
Yeah.
It falls this year on a.
I thought the tentative dates were a little iffy.
Yeah.
When I first saw them. So it makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Except
so
now shrinking the 3 weeks, that's gonna affect kids.
Well,
what camps do I go to?
Again,
which is why the mega camp is so important.
And the tough thing is then these guys, and it's like, it's the NCAA is so flawed in so many ways. And this is yet another example. If they would just expand that week, because it's after the holiday, it's after Memorial Day,
mm-hmm.
Give them that time, give them that the last 4 days in May into June, and now systems, it's all solved. Because they have to do their official visits the following weekend. They can't do them that weekend before.
Right.
So they have to do them the following weekend. So they're under the same calendar. It's preposterous. Like, it is so dumb. Like, but it's just little things like that, like, why? It's the same thing with like transfer portal windows and all those things that they force in, that if they look at the master calendar, like they're doing it to their own membership base.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right. Like,
yep.
I don't know.
It's you hit it when you said flawed.
It's very flawed.
So yeah. So I mean, combines are coming up. Combine training starts tonight.
Yeah, correct? We start a combine training class. It's on Tuesdays and Saturdays. You can do one day at a time, or you can come in and do all 7 of them. We're gonna work on the 40 start, which is really important.
Yep.
Pro agility, which is really important. You got to have the technique how to run it, and then just some vertical leap techniques and broad jump techniques. But the 40 and pro agility are by and large the vast majority of the time.
Yeah.
And those two, just so you know, like if you run a really good 40, there's a correlation between your vertical leap and your broad jump. They should be fairly similar to each other.
Yeah.
You guys start jumping 9 foot plus, pretty good.
Yeah.
30 plus vertical leap, pretty good.
Yeah.
You're in high school and you run under a 4.7, really good.
Right.
So there's technique though. There's a lot of technique that goes into it. So we would hope that, you know, if you're serious about it, and talked to a college coach the other day, and this is the easiest way you could say it to me. This guy's at a Power 4 ACC major school. And I said, what are you guys recruiting? What's your high school? He goes, it's half. Half of our class now is half of what it used to be.
Right.
So 10 kids per class.
Because and like I said last time we were here, high school recruiting supplements for the Power 4 schools, right? It's supplemental. The recruits are supplemental to the transfer portal, you know, which is why, you know, you're seeing schools, and I was having this talk with a coach the other day, you know, you're having the Truman States, the Northwest Missouri. I mean, these, you know, the directional schools cleaning up the talent level, you know, at Truman State, especially running backs. Thank you, Cody Schrader, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about stacking 18 running backs. Truman State is getting stacked at running back because of the Cody Schrader factor. Everybody wants to.
I saw him the other day. He came in and did some force plate stuff.
Yeah,
he looked really good.
Did he?
He's healthy.
What's his outlook for the off season? What's his plans?
Just to get ready to go back and do mini camp and all that stuff and stay ready.
So does he feel more?
I think it seemed like he was in a pretty good place. I think you know, the NFL is not a fun place to be, right? No. Sometimes it's not all it's cracked up to be, but pretty stressful. But everybody that I've talked to at the Rams has a really high thought process of where they see him, and they don't want to let him go.
It's a grind, and even when we talked about it the last time we had the show as well. It's a grind if you want to play college football, even if it's D2 NAIA, right? You cannot just show up. You know, you can't just show up and be like, okay, well, they're going to find me because I'm the high school star. You know, I'm the best athlete in my school. So people are going to show up.
I posted, you know, one catch I made at 7-on-7.
Right.
Like I do encourage you, anything you're doing,
bad
post,
lifts.
Post, post stuff that you're doing,
story.
But make sure it's good footage that you can kind of see. I will say I've seen a lot of kids posting 7-on-7 footage.
Yeah.
That is shot from so far away that there's no frame of context. So you can't even tell what's going on. So, you know, don't waste people's time with that, you know, because if they're going to watch something of yours, you want it to be quality. You know, so also like keep in mind, like there's a lot of people lying to kids about what 7-on-7 is and what it isn't. Like it can help you stay prepared.
Yeah.
But if you're not working on your skill development in the off season and you're neglecting lifting to go do 7-on-7, shame on you and whoever's letting you do it. Like our focus with our guys is train. Like if we have an off day from practice, they're training at our facility.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's a bad weather event, everybody's training.
Yeah.
Skill development is the premium, right? And then, you know, if there's practice, there's practice, but we highly encourage them to do their skills training, because if you're not doing skills training, like what are you putting on display? Like practice does not make perfect when you're running routes and all that against other people. Like it's just doesn't work that way.
If you're not working on your skills, it's basically backyard football.
100%.
Right. I mean, you could do that. You could just go out with your buddies and go to your high school field and run around, run routes.
100%. And you get just as much out of that, because if you don't have someone like working with you on it, and like, and again, like running 7-on-7 plays are different than plays that you're going to see at the high school level, because the coverages are different, right? And so, you know, you got to be careful about some of that, because it's from a quarterback perspective. I will tell you, 9 times out of 10, the best kids you see at 7-on-7, 9 times out of 10, they are not the best quarterback at tackle football, because the processing's different, right? And so, I'm not saying you can't be, but then you see those guys with their 7-on-7 teams in the high school, with the high school in the summer, and they look pretty good, because the high schools will run more traditional defenses. They'll run their stuff,
right?
And they're not trying to win the game as much as they are trying to implement their system. But if you don't have the underlying skills to like support what you're doing, like, why are you doing it? Like, doing something wrong over and over is only going to help you do it wrong more times than not. If you do it right more times than not, you do it over and over and over, and then you go put it to use, you're going to be at a higher level. And so that's why you should spend a significant amount of time skills training in the off season. Like, same thing with sprinting, same thing with lifting. You got to be doing all that stuff to stay relevant.
Right. No. Oh, you're absolutely right.
I mean, like, you're competing against grown men.
Right. And that's what I'm talking about. And you know, you see the guys in their elite, say, or they're training, they're so far ahead of other people, right? If you don't train, you don't show up, you just want to play the game, show up for your team practices or whatever, don't expect to be recruited. Because as it's dwindling down, and as high school recruiting's supplementing the transfer portal, they're not going to mess with you. They're just not.
I would argue that more kids, it's more fun to go play. So more kids just go play than focus on development.
Yep.
And it is, there is something to be said about getting out and running routes, playing defense. Yes.
Yeah.
But you have to refine your skill sets before you get to that point. Right. And so I just see a lot of calamity coming for a lot of kids that are getting, you know, thinking they're doing the right thing and thinking that, oh, we won this tournament, or we did this, or we did that, we placed second, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to anybody that matters. Right. And so if it doesn't matter to anybody that matters, the only thing that matters is you performing, like when they see you this summer, and you run as fast as you can. When I say perform, I'm talking about all facets: speed, agility, skill, all that has to line up.
Technique.
Yes.
I mean, it's there's the athleticism side and there's the technique. There's a lot of great athletes who come in. In fact, there was one in this past Sunday, just a freak athlete, right? Who was blowing by some guys with college offers, high level college offers, had no technique. If he combines that athleticism and learns, and will learn, and will have the patience to learn, because one thing I've noticed a lot of times is guys will come in and they want to train, or they'll come in to train, and then the coaches or the trainers will try to get in their ear about stuff, and they'll withdraw. Right? They'll get angry, and I'll go up and I'll be like, "What are you angry about? What are you withdrawn about? They're helping you, right? If you knew it all, you wouldn't be here." And so sometimes it clicks, sometimes it doesn't. But that fascinates me. And how often do you like run up against that?
Oh, I mean,
guys who they think they know it, right? And that's got to be the worst guy to train.
Feelings hurt because
they get their feelings hurt.
They've been coddled, they've been talked to, and because they've probably been better their whole life. They don't know why they're better.
They don't need to work as hard.
But what they don't understand is that at some point the reckoning is coming for them.
Yes.
And they need to be coachable. Like, for instance, I had a young man come in this past weekend, very coachable, very, very easy to convey the message to, very easy for his brain to take what I said and then put it to use, and then refine it, do it again, refine it, do it again, then get feedback when he started to feel what I saw. That's the key. You'll never see yourself play defensive end, running back, quarterback, linebacker, none of it. You cannot see. All we do is see out the front of it. I, as a coach, or whoever the coach is, if they know what they're looking at, they can see you.
Yeah.
And they can see you, and then they can explain to you exactly what it is, why you were successful, what you needed to change. but you as the athlete can feel the movements, right? So the coach can't feel it. So if you take what the coach sees with what you feel, that's the connection. That's the coach-player connection that we strive to get to. But the barrier is right here. So if that brain doesn't want to hear what this person's seeing,
don't shut down,
right?
Yeah.
Then it's over, because it is over.
You're wasting your
mental midgets is what we call that, guys, because they physically can't get out of their own way.
You're just wasting your time. And what's interesting is the young man you're talking about, he trains with other people, and he still was very coachable. Right?
Oh yeah.
He didn't come in here thinking, I've done all this, and he's a high level athlete, and you deal with that all the time. Even when you're training NFL guys, they have to leave that ego, right, or their feelings out of it,
because
if they want to get better.
Look, somebody can tell you in a different way than you've heard from someone else, and it will make a perfect amount of sense, right? And not all the time, like it's dangerous to say, well, this is the way I've been taught. Like I will, personally, I will hear people say stuff to my own son, right? When coaching him a little differently than what I've said to him.
Yeah.
And I let it go. I let them say whatever they need to say, because he's going to interpret that. He needs to hear other voices, right? So for other quarterbacks or other players to hear other voices, and then all these players coming in, like those guys you're saying, kind of shut down, it's good for them to hear other voices, right? That may be telling them something that they don't want to hear.
Yep. Absolutely.
But again, if your coach has a good motive, he's there to help you. He's not there to hurt you.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the tough thing with the modern athlete is there's a lot of they get a lot of mixed messages. And I don't know that it's real fair to them sometimes, because I don't want to make excuses for them, because at the end of the day that you got to perform.
Right.
But they get a lot of mixed messages, and they're told that their feelings matter, right?
Yes,
and that they don't want to be taken, beat up too bad, or whatever, and it's the coach's fault if they,
it's the coach's fault. A lot of people feel disrespected in this day and age if somebody's going to tell you, especially young guys, because it's all about you're not going to talk to me. You get the guys that are successful leave that stuff out behind.
100%,
right? Because everybody's there to help you. And what's really interesting is I saw a young guy do that. By the end, he got it. It clicked, right? Because all you have to do is say, well, you're this successful, but do you want to be this successful? Boom. Yes. And if they want to be that successful, they'll buy in. If they don't, good luck.
I mean, you and I talk to college coaches. We know what we're doing. We've done this a long time. We may do it differently than other people do it, but I can tell you, success breeds success. So like when it comes to me and what I'm doing and what I do on a daily basis, because I train little bitty guys up to those college and pro guys, I approach things from a different perspective, right? I am not a drill pusher. Like, we will run drills, but I'm not a drill pusher. Like, a drill pusher, in my estimation, is a guy that's doing a bunch of non-mechanical stuff that's going to just basically tire you out and make you repeat a bunch of bad behaviors, right? So we're mechanical. So all the coaches on our staff, every single one of them is mechanics based. And so when you look at our warm up through everything we're doing, there's a myriad of things that we can do to get you to accomplish what you want to accomplish, right? And so and what your coach and team needs you to accomplish, and do it aesthetically pleasing to coaches, because at the end of the day, you have to have production, but you also have to fit the mold of what they're looking for. And so, and that's on a physical stature, height, weight, all that stuff.
Got to catch their eye.
But then there's also, you have to catch their eye with how the ball comes off your hand. You have to catch their eye with your posture,
how your feet.
All those things, right? You're like, I'll get compliments on some of our quarterbacks, and I'm always like, they got more work to do, because I know we're heading right. So it's never
what can be.
It's never perfect, right? And so, and throwing mechanics are like a golf swing. Like, there's a reason why a golfer wins, 2 or 3 tournaments in a row, and then you don't hear from them for a while. If they're really good, they might win another one, and then you don't hear from them for a while. Because the swing is so fine-tuned that if it gets a little out of whack, the difference in football is when a guy's kind of out of whack, you don't really notice it until the wheels are wobbling. Patrick Mahomes, great example in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
All year wasn't his best year, a little out of whack, not really who he's been years past. And he's in that game and he's firing balls into the ground, and you can tell he is not sure why it's happening.
Right.
You can tell.
No, yeah, absolutely.
And you know, some of that was the pressure, a little shell shocked. When you lose confidence, if you don't have supreme control of your mechanics, you're done.
Oh yeah,
it's over. It is over from a in-game scenario. He will recover. He will be just fine. But you could tell he was struggling mentally and physically because the pressure, and then he just wasn't feeling it, and he missed a few uncharacteristic throws. And you just look at his feet. His feet just were not where they needed to be.
Right. Yeah. Well, that does it for us, man. Goes by quick. Fastest hour. You can go ahead and reach us on our social media here. Joe's going to pop that up for us, baby. There we go. JP Rock MO on X, JP Rock Scout U on Instagram, and people can catch you at
Elite Football on X, and then Elite Football Academy on Instagram, and then Elite Football Combine for the registration for Monday for the 5th through 8th grade combine, and then March 8th we'll have the same combine for our high school guys.
Coming up quick,
8th
training
grade through seniors.
Combine training
Training tonight, 7:30, and then 12:30 on Saturday.
People that are interested,
just come in tonight at 7:30, or you can just check it out on elitefootball.net on the homepage.
There you go, man. Put your best foot forward, your best jump, your best sporty, all that good stuff. Enjoyed ourselves as always. Goes by quick. We will catch you next week, health and weather permitting, right? We should put that disclaimer out there.
Yeah, it's winter.
It's been fun, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll talk to you next week. See ya.